Join host Charisma Eve on a journey of self-discovery, empowerment, and unapologetic authenticity. In each episode, Charisma dives deep into conversations, exploring what it truly means to embrace oneself fully and live life with genuine charisma. From personal antidotes to interviews, Unapologetically Me is a space where vulnerability meets strength, where listeners are encouraged to celebrate their uniqueness and step into their power without reservation. Tune in for inspiring stories, practical tips, and a dose of unfiltered wisdom as Charisma Eve guides you towards embracing your most authentic self. It's time to own your truth and live unapologetically. And now your host, Charisma Eve.
Well, good afternoon, and welcome to Unapologetically Me. I am Charisma Eve, and we are so glad to have you with us this afternoon. Thank you so much for continuing to be listeners and helping us to grow this podcast, because all we want to do is welcome you. Thank you for the love. And we want to welcome you and thank you for blessing the other listeners. Please continue to share, to like, and spread the love, because we want to help advocate whatever it is that we put out. You know, I am an advocate of multiple sclerosis, and whatever it is that brings me to you, I'm going to bring you to it. This evening, I want to welcome Miss Quatavia Jones, who is one of my babies.
Yes.
And I say one because the Lord has blessed me with so many. She is a woman that wears so many hats. She is also known as In So Many Words, because she does spoken word and she does it so well. She is a mother of, you would not believe it if you were to see her, but she is a mother of 6. She is a grandmother. You would not believe that, but she is a wonderful woman of God. And she is a wife, and the Lord blessed her and put her in my life maybe 12 years ago, maybe 12 years ago.
13 years ago.
When I was teaching for Empire Beauty School. I tell you, the Lord blessed me in so many ways when I was teaching for these schools, you know, and I asked God to empower me to prosper so that I could help others to empower them to prosper. And this today, Miss Quatavia Jones comes to us because she wants to talk to us about something that so many people is dealing with, and that is mental health. So many people, and especially in the African American community. So as I said last week, and I'm thank you for joining us last week. Hope you enjoyed last week's episode. But I'm not going to take up a whole lot of your time this evening or today. I'm going to let you talk to Miss Quatavia Jones. Unapologetically Me. Because like I tell you all the time, if I forget what this is, that's because I am unapologetically me. I have no apologies, because that's just who I am.
And we love it. We love it.
We welcome you, Miss Jones. Welcome. Let's talk.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome. Glad to have you. What you got?
Well, I think it was a little bit more than 12 years. It was probably about 13 years, maybe closer to 14 years. But you talk about just us being in your classroom, but you know that you were a blessing for me, and I watch you be a blessing for so many of us. So, you know, I'm not gonna come on your show and not give you your flowers, because, you know, I'll tell you privately But if I have the opportunity to say publicly how you saved my life, you saved my life. And, that goes back into my cause is mental health. I was losing everything when God blessed me with your presence, right? And I didn't have to come in and say, oh, my house is in foreclosure, or I'm homeless, or, I'm going through this struggles, and not, the love of God inside of you reached out, and you just loved on me, and let me know that there was something special inside of me. And I saw you do it to other students. I think I was your favorite, but we're not talking about that, right? I'm letting the people out there know how very dedicated you were to making us understand that we were gifted and that we were talented, and that you took your gifts and your talent to love on us and to let us know that we were more than, and that's very important. The way you spoke to us and let us know that we were worthy, that's super important. In our challenges in Black communities, we beat up on each other a lot, or we come from old school homes where it's kind of like, do what you say, do what I say, period. We're not talking too much about our feelings. We're not letting our mothers know when we're being hurt by something that they're doing, because they probably doing their best half of the time. We're not taking care of ourselves first, because 9 times out of 10, we're mothers, we're wives, we're teachers, we're the nurses, we're ushering at church, we're doing everything. And it's a new practice for the self-care talk. Self-care wasn't a thing that we culturally did. We cared for everything and everybody else. That's what Black American women are known for. We are the caregivers. We're nursing people's babies. We're the neighborhood mom. We're doing everything for everyone else, and not taking a moment to say, hey, I am beautiful still. I am worthy still. I'm either married or not married, but I'm still God's child still. We don't do those kind of things. And you helped me to remember that I was still loved, and I was still worthy, and I was still talented. And you know, I loved that I got to experience you in my life, and I need the people to know that. We'll talk about all
Thank,
of the stuff, but they
thank
need to
you.
know this lady right here. I call her my lady because how, she came in and she saved me when I was going through. So that,
God bless you.
that's my rant.
God.
That's my rant. So
I like what you had to say about what we wanted to talk about today when I asked you what you wanted the theme to be, and you said you wanted the theme to be created to be captivated, or captivated to be created. I like that, because something that you just said, and I've been thinking about this since we were talking the other day. In the Black community, we used to, when we talked about mental health, we never really talked about it, because we talked about, oh, we'll just pray about it. We'll just
mhm.
go to the Lord in prayer. We don't need that. We don't need to go to the doctor. And something resonated in my brain when you talked about that, because I thought about, well, if we didn't need to go to the doctor, then the doctor would not have been created to be
Yeah.
captivated, or captivated to be created. So that's what I want to kind of talk about, because now we have kind of honed in to this. Now we know God created this doctor. And so now we need to do something with this, because so many people are suffering from mental health, or
Absolutely.
areas that need to be, worked on. And what are we going to do with it? Now we know that we have this issue. Now what are we going to do about it? In addition to continuing to pray. Okay.
Right.
Not going to do
Right. I,
away.
I love that.
Yeah, we're not going to do away with prayer, because we knew um as people that prayed in the fields and sung in the fields and in church. Now we did that spiritually. Now we have this practical thing that we can add to it. So now,
Yes.
what are we going to do with that in addition to? So that's what I want to talk about.
Well, I love it. You opened it up really, really well in reminding us to maintain the things that work, right? We gonna maintain the treasures that we have, but we're gonna open up that treasure box and reach in and get some other stuff, right? We know I pray on everybody. I be praying on my doctors, my nurses. I pray for the ladies who handling the paperwork in the back, those lab techs. We wanna encourage and pray for everybody, but we're not gonna discount the fact that sometimes people have chemical imbalances, right? Sometimes people were never taught to talk nice to themselves. Sometimes it's not
Mm,
this big old heavy crisis. Sometimes you're home in depression. There's so many of us in depression. I think about this popular singer, and I don't know if we can mention names or anything, so I just won't. But one of the most famous women in the world, who is mother and wife and blessed with all of these children, and like she dropped a new album, and the whole album is about getting high. The whole album is about getting drunk, and I'm like, you got babies,
mm,
and that's the first thing that you're gonna release to us, because we knew you as a single woman. We didn't know you as mom, and now you're mom, but people are self-medicating. You got
mm.
people dying of like fentanyl overdoses because people are trying to heal.
Mm,
Folk are trying to heal. So let me take this substance. Let me do this. Let me do that, because it's still taboo in some areas to say it's okay to go talk to a therapist.
mhm,
It's okay to sit down and talk to somebody. We like the old mothers at the church, but we're a different people now,
mhm.
exposed to different things that they didn't have internet and OnlyFans and you know exposed to the things that the women of today are exposed to. And why I'm gonna sit down and need to sit with Sister Hattie Mae, I'm not gonna give away her wisdom for nothing to nobody. But
Mhm,
Sister Hattie Mae also probably need a therapist. A lot of us are
mhm,
dealing with intergenerational traumas. In my workshops, I work with a compassionate companion, and we do intergenerational trauma. And I tell this story about my grandmother making this pot roast. Made a pot roast, and her pot roast is always the best. It's tender, falls off the bone. There's no bones in pot roast, but y'all know what I mean. It's just tender, melts in your mouth like butter. How she make the pot roast? I don't know. You get the pot roast, you cut the butter off of it, you season it up. Ask great grandma, well, how you made it? Well, my mama made it. You got it. You cut the butter off of it, you season it up, and make it real tender. Ask my
mhm,
mothers and my aunts, why do you do it? Well, that's the way Nana did it. Cut the butter off of it, season it up, it's tender. Nana, 99 years old. Nana, why? Why do we make the pot roast that way? Why do you cut the butter off of it? Why does that make it tender? She said, well, I don't know why they did it, but I did it because we didn't have pots big enough for it. So I make some stew with that piece, but I cut the butter off of it because we didn't have a pan. We did stuff traditionally because that's what we did. Nobody ever stopped to say, well, why are we cutting the butter off it? We all got big pans now. We just do
mhm,
things because that's what we do. We all have heard what goes on in my house stays in my house. That's not always the best, because sometimes in the house, that's where the bad things is happening first. Before you have
mhm.
been exposed to the world, before you have met the little boyfriend at the school, we got uncles and cousins and aunties and people and grandfathers who are molesting us at home, and we don't say nothing because we're taught what goes on in my house stays in my house. My first
Yeah.
foster home, I was molested by the father in the house. And it wasn't a thing to go tell, because me telling would bring consequences. So as a child, I was put in a place to protect my
The home.
offenders. You don't want to get
Mhm.
mom in trouble. You don't want to get dad in trouble. We'll just keep the doors locked from now. And I'm like, how is that right? Not understanding it wasn't right. But this is what we do in homes where we have all of these traditions about you don't bring certain people into your business. You don't bring those folks into the house. And we're passing down legacy trauma. We're passing down ways to continuously and perpetually hurt ourselves. In my house, my kids can speak. And yes, I'm still old school mama. There's too many of them for them to cut up. So we have a way in which you speak. If you need to hold an open forum in my house, mom, I need an open forum you get to say whatever you need to say, whether I like it or not. I need them to know that your voice matters, your voice is important. And I tell them often they're living a figment of my imagination because I'm freestyling. The older I get, I'm getting more information, and I absolutely have therapists, and my children absolutely have access to therapy, and they're in therapy. But I was just trying to do something different because being molested, no one ever took me to therapy. My
Mm-hmm.
foster mother, she probably was going through worse stuff. I know she wasn't in no therapy. It's the things that we have to do to start breaking these habits of people who were in survival mode. You know, I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
she loved me. You don't become a foster mother that take on children and have all of your own children and not have this love. People are not getting $1 million from being foster parents. I think she was doing the best that she knew how to do.
Yeah,
Traditionally, what she knew how to do. If we tell, then I'm going to jail, or there's this thing that we do, and I just want us to know that it's okay. Get the help. It's okay to do stuff different, like without demonizing your nana and your mima and all of the old aunties. They did, and they were doing the best that they knew how to do, and we get to
that's
make
right.
choices and do
Mm-hmm.
something different. Get the help.
That's right.
Get the help.
So, now are you actually physically working with a therapist now? Do you know someone that, do you have a particular website that you do or something of that nature?
Well, I am not a clinician, so put that out. Let's put that out there. I particularly, me and my family, we work with Be Well Therapy. Shout out to all of the team. They are African American. I'm not sure who they are, but I think it's important for us to work with and talk to people who can culturally understand what we're going through. And not to say that people who come from other backgrounds are unqualified. It's just
Right.
we have a unique set of us, right?
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Whether we're wealthy, whether we come from one side of the tracks on another, there's just certain things we understand about
Mm-hmm.
ourselves. So I know for me, in looking for and finding a therapist, I wanted a older Black woman who had been married,
Mm-hmm.
because there's things that go along with that. Not to say that a young Latino couldn't help me out. What I was looking for myself, that so that I can grow and learn and be challenged and understood and heard, I needed
Mm-hmm.
someone who had walked the walk. So I know that they can give me advice and information and educate me, not only based on their books, but also by lived experience. So,
Right. It just
um,
wasn't what you were looking for,
right. And it's
basically.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
I've met people who have tried therapy and say, "Oh no, I didn't like it. It wasn't for me." I had a therapist who spoke really slow. Like, "Oh my God." He was a white man who had been in the business 30, 40 years, had been married, but every word came like every 2 minutes, and I couldn't take it. I was losing my mind. I needed to switch up. So when we get in, if you have an uncomfortable experience, switch up. It's okay to say,
Yeah.
well, I'm not feeling served, or switch up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't recommend any place in particular, to be honest with you. I say get in where you fit in.
Mm-hmm.
Find somebody. Me and my family, we work with Be Well Therapy here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I love them. I love their facilitators. I love their doctors. They seem to try to make it do what it do. My 11-year-old is in therapy there. My 20-year-old was there. I had a daughter who suffered from bipolar 1 disorder, which really took my family through a new set of things that none of us had been exposed to. And we all needed to sit down and talk about that. And
Now
then in
that
talking about,
I'm
say it
sorry.
again.
You said bipolar 1 disorder?
Yes.
Really quick, explain.
I can't really quick explain. So your listeners are gonna have to look that up. But it's a chemical imbalance. It's
Okay.
not the same as schizophrenia, but it is a mental health disorder that is regulated with balancing the chemicals. Some people talk about, your diets and, having detox and getting the metals out of your system and all of that. With us, a lot of we're learning now because I'm in the school system. Um, a lot of kids when they get about 16, 17 in
Mm-hmm.
the African American, I don't know, diaspora, our babies are going through.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a shift. She suffered from anxiety and depression as a kid, and we didn't
Mm-hmm.
know what it was. It just looked like moody. You know, they tell us all the time, oh, when your teenage girls get away, they start acting away. Again, it
Mm-hmm.
may be some truth to it, but sometimes we overlook what's happening
Mm-hmm.
with our children. In Mecklenburg County, where we are, African American teenagers are dying by suicide 80% higher than the rest of the kids.
Oh, wow.
So, and then we're going to look that up. Fact checkers, y'all listen to me, but our children are trying to die by suicide. This rate is off the charts. And
Mm-hmm.
I believe we're overlooking. We're chucking it off to, oh, they moody teenagers. We are not really taking a look at what they're being exposed to, these phones and social media, and you know, they're being exposed to other people's kids, and other people's kids are exposed to stuff, and then we are dealing with it uneducated. You know, we're not
Mm-hmm.
looking at it because we got to hustle and grind. Our economy say we need 5 jobs, so I need 5 jobs, and my 16-year-old, she old enough, she could chill by herself, and I can't take 5 minutes to look at her face because we busy. And then when I'm not busy, I'm also addicted to the phone. So now I'm scrolling. She's scrolling, I'm scrolling. And, you know, we're not
Yeah.
monitoring what we're being exposed to and
Ex-
what the children are being exposed to. So, you know, we got to
mm,
get ourselves together. And mental health is a biggie.
mm.
It's a big one.
And so the name of the place that you and your family are going through therapy is what's the name of it?
Be well therapy.
Be Well Therapy. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. It does shed a little bit of light on something that will give people an aha moment to think, because all it is generational curses. That's
Yes.
all. That's all. And it makes people think, because I really think that we all have that little bit. My father was a minister, and he went through a generational curse. You know, my father was a minister, but his mother had a whorehouse, and he ran away from home at 13, you know, but he was exposed to so many things. Generational curse. A lot of it you're talking about a lot of things that he was exposed to. And as a result of it, my sister's 4 children all have some sort of mental health issue.
Yeah.
You see? And so it pours down. It's like a snowball effect. So it does, make you think. And I'm glad that we can have these kind of conversations these days, because there was
Yes.
a time when, you wanted the people would make you, we don't talk about that.
Right.
We don't
Right.
talk about that. And now we need to talk about that, because suicide is something that it leads to. And I'm going to say this, and then we're going to get ready to close. But I've been looking since Saturday on Facebook, and I have seen more teenagers that have been missing.
Yes.
What is that about?
Yes.
And I'm like,
Well,
what's really going on?
you
What's
see
going
that
on?
I'm posting them.
Yeah,
You see
what's
that I'm
going
gonna
on?
post them. It's been a phenomenon with Black children and missing, but our children don't get the publicity. So I know for myself, I know for a group of my friends, we make it our business to share, because when our kids go missing, it's not national news. When our kids go missing, we may or may not get an Amber Alert, but when other kids get missing, it's a big deal. And they're
Yeah,
not making a big deal when our children, sex trafficking is huge,
it is.
especially in the state of North Carolina.
Uh-huh.
We have a hub, that I-95, I-85, I-95.
Uh-huh.
a lot of sex trafficking happen there. So I urge your listeners, when y'all see something that come up or go across your feed, and it's a child of color that's missing, post it, share it, because we're all
Yeah,
that we know. They're not
yeah,
they're not pulling the dogs out and the helicopters out for our children at the rate that they're doing for other people's children. So it's our job. These phones can be used for more than just scrolling and shopping. Let's
yeah,
save our babies. If we can find the children, let's find the children. And a lot of these kids are suffering from mental health disorders. Some of them are wandering off.
yeah.
If
Wandering
my
off.
14-year-old runs away, I need her back home. You know what I mean? Like, she's not
Mm-hmm,
well. She's 14, she's
mm-hmm,
out there, she's exposed to the elements. Y'all find my baby and bring her home. Like, we need to community get together and say, we're going to find these children because they're not supposed to be out there. They're unprotected. And we
that's
have to
right.
protect our own.
Because
Yep.
it takes a community. It takes a
Yes.
okay. Well, I want to tell you, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all of the information and I appreciate the sharing, and you're more than welcome. And as I tell everybody that comes on, we're starting with audio, but in the days to come, we're going to move to video, and we're prayerfully going to be able to spread and share with more people and cover more sources, and ask you that and welcome you to always come back and share more with your beautiful self. We love
Thank
you.
you.
I know I do. Miss Stinson love you, honey. Gonna love you long time. If you're experiencing any type of mental anguish and you need help, 988 is the number. 988. If you know somebody that needs some help, 988. We need to save one another, okay? We love you. Here at Unapologetically Me, I'm Charisma Eve. Thank you for listening, and we appreciate you. We love you. Love, live, laugh. For today, I'm Unapologetically Me, Charisma Eve. Have a good day. God bless you.
Thank you for joining Unapologetically Me, Charisma Eve. Please like, share, and subscribe, and join us every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time for another exciting episode wherever you listen to your podcast.